Mr. Semeka, esteemed trustees, Mr. Drzezinski, faculty, parents, guests, friends, and most importantly, the class of 2024. Good morning, and welcome to the 168th commencement exercises at Elgin Academy. I am honored to have the privilege of beginning our ceremony this morning, a special day for all involved, but especially for the 19 members of the class of the 2024. My responsibility is to welcome all of you assembled here today to our beautiful campus, and I do this as a representative of the tremendous group of educators here. I also relish the opportunity to address the class of 2024 for one final time in their career as Elgin Academy students. I consider it an honor to provide them with some parting thoughts as they leave here to commence with the remainder of their education and lives. Today I've chosen to share some anecdotes about music. I know this class is musically inclined, whether they play instruments in a class, take the Guitar Hero January term, or even about 15 minutes ago, sing together in the Learning Center. I hope that you can appreciate the stories I'm about to share and possibly apply them to your lives. Rest assured that I will not provide you with my take on the recent Kendrick versus Drake feud, although Mr. Sanchez did his best to break that event down in detail for me. Instead, the three musicians I'm going to discuss are all still active in their 80s. However, these stories happened approximately 60 years ago, when they were much closer to your age. First, I'll begin by discussing how Keith Richards, the guitarist of the Rolling Stones, created one of the most iconic guitar riffs. Parents, rest assured I am not about to provide your children with health advice from Keith Richards. I now quote from the History Channel website. In early May 1965, during the early morning hours, the band's bleary-eyed lead guitarist Keith Richards had bolted up from his bed, grabbed a tape recorder, and laid down the song's opening riff, now considered one of the greatest pop hooks of all time. He promptly then fell back asleep. I had no idea I'd written it, Richards wrote in his 2010 memoir Life. When I woke up in the morning, the tape had run out. Richards recalled many years later, I put it back on, and there's maybe 30 seconds of this guitar riff in a very drowsy sort of rendition. And then suddenly the guitar goes clang, and there's like 45 minutes of snoring. Young Keith Richards knew that when a bolt of inspiration hit, he had to capitalize on it, leading to this famous Rolling Stones song. In less than a month from now, you can still hear Keith Richards and his bandmates playing Satisfaction at Soldier Field. This anecdote provides my first piece of advice. Be ready for inspiration, no matter when and where it hits. You all have the opportunity to go forward and do wonderful things, but many of your accomplishments will begin with a simple spark of inspiration. Be ready at all times to catalog those ideas so that you can foster the ones that will rise to the top. Don't let the moments of inspiration pass you by, even if you have to wake up in the middle of the night to capture them. Next, I'm going to tell the story of how Paul McCartney wrote one of the greatest songs of all time, entitled it Scrambled Eggs. I now quote from the Business Insider website. Paul wrote that he woke up one morning with the melody for the song stuck in his mind, and he immediately turned to the piano in the room to memorize the notes. I just had this tune and now I had some chords, and I had to solidify it in my memory. I blocked out with some dummy words, scrambled eggs, baby how I love your legs, scrambled eggs. Using dummy lyrics wasn't something I did a lot. It was a rare thing, Paul wrote. McCartney continued to explain that for some time the song was known as Scrambled Eggs, as he tried to find the correct lyrics, and he would often irritate friends and colleagues, including film director Richard Lester, who at the time was working with the Beatles on their 1965 film Help. It got to the point where the film director, Richard Lester, started to get annoyed at always hearing the song. One day he shouted at Paul, "If I hear that one more time, I'll have the piano taken away." I don't think it helped matters when he would ask what the song was called, and Paul would reply, "Scrambled Eggs." However, McCartney wrote that he managed to work out the kinks in the song during the long car ride to the coastal Portuguese city of Albufeira while on a holiday break for the production of Help. I wanted to keep the melody so I knew I'd have to fit the syllables of the words around that. Scrambled eggs, da-da-da. And I also remember thinking, people like sad songs he wrote. I remember thinking that even I like sad songs. By the time I got to Albufera, I'd completed the lyrics. Now, even though Paul McCartney never had Dr. Herring, Mr. Sanchez, or Miss Anderson as teachers, he understood fully that your first draft is not your best version. In this case, he kept looking for something better to sing about than breakfast foods, and his desire to revise and rewrite lyrics led to this timeless classic.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
I'm sorry if you now think scrambled eggs in your head every time you hear that song, but you get it. This story leads to my second piece of advice. Take time to hone the ideas that really matter to you. Even when you have those sparks of inspiration that I mentioned earlier, never assume that your work is finished. Continue to reflect upon and revise your ideas in your college, in your career, in your life, because none of us reaches perfection the first time, if ever. For my third and final story, I would like to tell you about how Bob Dylan disappointed a number of his fans. Bob was considered the voice of his generation in the early 60s as he wrote and performed many socially conscious folk songs on his acoustic guitar, such as Blowin' in the Wind and The Times Are A-Changin'. He amassed a group of fans who eagerly awaited his next move, provided that what he created fit the mold of what they wanted from their version of Bob Dylan. However, like most artists, Bob was not static. And at the height of his folk prowess, he decided to transition to playing an electric guitar with a band. When he debuted his new music at the Newport Folk Festival in June 1965, Bob and his band were booed off the stage by an audience who did not approve of his change. After a short intermission, Bob came back solo on stage and mollified the crowd with a short acoustic set. However, this one-time capitulation is not the end of the story. After Newport, Bob continued delving into electric guitar-driven music, culminating in such classic albums as Highway 61 Revisited. The next year, he and his new band embarked on a tour of England. An important milestone in rock history was documented in May 1966 at a concert in Manchester, New England. For the rest of the story, I'll quote the BBC News. The Manchester gig had two halves. The first saw Dylan taking the stage alone and acoustic, while the second he played with the backing of his band. The audience was delighted with the acoustic set. One concert goer was quoted as saying, "I suppose there was an expectation that he might not play electric. He just might carry on. Because we had such a good first half, he might do more of the same." People in the intermission were breathing a sigh of relief, and I heard somebody say, "Oh, he's seen his sense. He's not going to use his band. He's realized he's wrong." However, Bob returned to the stage with his electric band for the second set. At the end of that first number, people were bewildered, shell-shocked even. But shortly after, the protests began. Throughout the second half, people started slow hand clapping against the beat. Groups of people were standing up, facing the stage accusingly, and then walking out. There were random shouts here, there, and everywhere. And then there was a lone shout from the audience, "Judas!" Bob turned around and said, "I don't believe you." It was an incredibly antagonistic moment. Dylan then stepped away from the microphone, swore as he told his band to play it loud, and they lurched into Like a Rolling Stone, which was this giant juggernaut. Thankfully, that exact moment is captured on. It's a tradition that people hear reflections from valedictorians. For important reasons, that student occupies a special position at any institution where people learn. That person is the chief academic and the resident student scholar, and the right to be called such only comes with a combination of effort, curiosity, diligence, and perseverance. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing the class of 2024 valedictorian, Kate Kincaid, to you today. Our community and the academic world outside of Elgin Academy have recognized Kate for her focus on challenging herself and her diligent work ethic in rising to those challenges. Kate earned a 4.18 grade point average. She earned an A+ or A in all her classes, with her lowest mark being alone A- in 9th grade. She is a member of the National Honor Society, the Spanish National Honor Society, the Cum Laude Society, having been inducted into all of those prestigious organizations at the earliest possible time. She was her class's recipient of the Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony Rochester Award based on the work that she did as a junior in her humanities classes. She is an Illinois State Scholar and an Advanced Placement Scholar. She completed a Hilltop class this year in which she addressed the essential question of how do filmmakers effectively use cinematography to evoke emotions in an audience. During her study, she explored many facets of filmmaking, expanding her knowledge of several artists while improving her own filming and editing skills. However, Kate is more than just a list of accolades. To summarize the type of person she is and the contributions she has made to our school community, I would like to share some words that her teachers wrote about her. Kate is a diligent and responsible student. She consistently strives to do her best and performs very well. I am confident she will continue this positive trait. Kate did an outstanding job in our class this year. She clearly showed a passion for the subject, worked incredibly hard, and performed very well on all of our assessments and projects. Kate is an engaged student and creative thinker whose contributions are consistently insightful and thought-provoking. Kate, we are overjoyed to have you share this phase of your life with you. You have made Elgin Academy a better place, and we know that you will do the same at Chapman University. It is my pleasure to introduce the class of 2024 valedictorian, Kate Kincaid.
Good morning, parents, faculty, esteemed guests, and of course, the class of 2024. I guess it's always been obvious that our class was special. We definitely made our presence known as vocal freshmen, you could say, and we took our fair share of fire in return. That was justified, because picking on the freshmen is just a rite of passage. But you know your class is unique when the reputation follows you to your sophomore year. Now, here we are, the last senior class to graduate from Elgin Academy after 185 years. When I think of EA, the word community automatically attaches to it. EA and community go hand in hand, and I know we've all heard it a million times. That is no coincidence. I think a big reason our school is closing is very challenging for many of us, even if we don't realize it now, is because we feel a loss of our community. Even as our numbers have gotten smaller, we could feel our bond grow stronger. Regardless of whether you came last year or you've gone here for over a decade, it's so easy to quickly feel like part of the family. I've tried to describe it to non-EA people before, but they can never understand. And I always end up saying, you just have to experience it. Let me take you back to our sophomore year. Many new faces came to EA, and we even welcomed our 100th student to the high school. But by the time junior year came around, our numbers had been greatly reduced. When we pulled up to the homecoming dance that year, not a soul could be found on what seemed like a 5x5 foot dance floor. Everyone sat down at the tables, probably all thinking the same thing. If we were a big school, this would be fun. The energy felt so stagnant that someone recorded a TikTok of everyone sitting in silence, and the TikTok audio was just awkward shoes squeaking and no one talking. At a school this small, it's easy to just check out and wish you were somewhere else. Somewhere that doesn't require you to have responsibilities in order to get what you want. But at Elgin Academy, we don't shy away from responsibility. We take it as an opportunity. Our class has been given some circumstances that many high schoolers don't have. We don't let those circumstances determine our situation. If we want to have fun, we make it. By the end of that homecoming dance, we were all sweaty, people were carrying each other on their shoulders and moshing and dancing their hearts out in the dance circle. And just to top it all off, it started downpouring rain. Instead of letting the weather ruin our good time, people started dancing in the rain. You choose how to play the cards that you've been dealt. Students at other schools are presented with their interests in the form of strong pre-existing programs. That's an amazing opportunity. Oftentimes at EA, we simply don't have a large enough school for certain sports and classes. But we saw the lack of certain existing programs as a door waiting for us to open it and be the founders and leaders of the opportunities we wanted. Others may see it as an obstacle. We see it as an opening. For example, we formed a men's volleyball team from scratch because it was something we were passionate about and everyone came together to make it happen. We may have had a few empty seats in our bleachers throughout the years, but that didn't stop us from creating our own energy with what we could do. So we filled any empty space we might have had with the sounds of our bucket drumming. Not only were we creating a community and an energy around our games, we supported each other even if we were getting crushed by some school 4 times our size. Class of 2024, we've been given a gift. Although, maybe for our entire high school experience, we never saw it as one. We've spent these past few years fine-tuning our skill of creating the energy and community that we want to be surrounded by, from the ground up. You know what they say about gifts, use them. Now, the time has come for us to go out and make use of our gifts in the world. No matter how trapped or hopeless we may feel at some point in the future, when the dance floor is empty, we can choose not only to get up and dance ourselves, but to create a flourishing, moshing community around us. Although our Elgin Academy community will no longer be tied to an active school, our beloved Hilltop itself, it lives on through each of us as we continue to be the leaders that this school has proven us to be. Our class has always stood out, and together we have faced adversity, experienced beauty, and created our lifelong bond. Not only have we done this as a class, but also as the Elgin Academy community at large. A community which is definitely unique and definitely special. The love that radiates amongst us and this place is immeasurable and will never be forgotten. Let's not let 185 years of strength and community fade, but instead let it live on through the communities we continue to create around us. Never forget that no matter the circumstances, we are the ones who determine our situation. We are the ones who can make it happen. Elgin Academy, class of 2024, let's get on that dance floor and go make it happen. Thank you.
We are so pleased today to welcome 2 Elgin Academy alumni back to campus as this year's commencement speakers. Beth Hogan Corley graduated from EA's class of 1982, and her brother Tom Hogan from the class of 1981. They are also 2 of the 6 children of Frank and Nancy Hogan. Frank was headmaster of Elgin Academy from 1975 to 1985, and Nancy served as the school nurse and a teacher here. Mr. Hogan arrived on our campus at a critical moment in the Academy's history. After what had been a particularly turbulent period of time, Frank's decisive leadership was instrumental in raising academic standards, strengthening the sense of school community, and reinvigorating athletic and co-curricular programs. A quintessential independent school educator, Frank stayed connected to the Academy even after he moved on to become head of Ransom Everglades School in Florida and the Latin School in Chicago. I'm happy to report that in his children, Tom and Beth, that proud tradition of independent school service has continued. Both Tom and Beth have followed in their dad's work, but in very different ways. Tom Hogan holds a BA in government from Lawrence University in Wisconsin and an MED in administration and supervision from Loyola University in Chicago. He has dedicated his career to working in independent schools, first as a history teacher and coach, before moving into roles as both Dean of Students and later Upper School Director. Today, Tom is Director of Admission at Bosco Tech, a progressive independent high school near Pasadena, California, which focuses on preparing young men whose interests lie in science, engineering, and media arts. Tom is providing significant leadership as the school prepares to establish a program for girls in the fall of 2025. He truly knows and understands high school age students as good as anyone can. Beth's post-secondary education centered to Rosemont College outside of Philadelphia, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree. While there, she studied history and continued her athletic career as a four-year starter on the field hockey team. Like her dad, Beth has a passion for fundraising and an understanding that financial resources are critical to advancing the school's mission. She spent the majority of her career working in private schools, but then ventured into the world of university fundraising.
Needless to say, it was a pretty impressive role model. So today, as we celebrate the class of 2024 and the 185th year of Elgin Academy, Tom and I do so from a very personal place. As I thought about your graduation today and all of the changes you have been through, how you have embraced them, and about the changes that lie ahead for you, I have decided to share some thoughts on change. Your upper school experience was one of a kind. You entered high school during COVID and experienced the ongoing adjustments to your academic, extracurricular, and social lives, especially during your freshman year. According to your teachers, you have navigated uncertainty in changes exceptionally well. Now, you are graduating from the academy as its doors are closing. I am told you have stepped up over and over this year in a very special way. You have honored the work of the current students and paid homage to the history and traditions of the academy. Some changes come about as a natural course of growing up. As a baby, first you crawl, then stand, and then you begin that adorable finger walking. You start taking a hold of chairs and tables, and you take your first steps. Learning to walk was both instinct and trial and error. Instinct propels you to keep going. Trial and error leads you to persevere until you master the skill. Other changes happen as a result of intentional choice. You made decisions to try something new. Joined an athletic team, tried out for the musical, decided to tutor a special needs student in math. Some of you explored an interest that may have seemed far-fetched, but followed your heart and curiosity. In college, you will explore new courses of study, declare a major, and some of you may change your major, or once or even twice. My 15-year-old daughter has gone through many of these same changes, but like some of you, her instinct was to be cautious. On the day she took her first steps, she sat down and did not walk again for 2 months. Her instinct was to protect herself from something she was not ready for. When I was your age, I was more like my daughter, who tested the waters of walking, but ultimately sat down and took her time. My daughter's instinct was to be risk-averse, and that is okay. Over time, and with a little more practice, she was off and running. In my teens and into my 20s, for the most part, I stayed in my comfort zone. My pattern was very predictable. It served me very well. Over the years, I developed a confidence to challenge myself and try some new things. Much of what was hard, but what I discovered was I was learning, and that I could make adjustments in the face of adversity and through my failures. For some of you, this courage comes naturally. For others like me, you have to work at it. I so distinctly remember a change that was thrust upon me the summer before 9th grade, when my dad gave me the choice of running cross country or playing field hockey. I joined the EA field hockey team. Turned out I was pretty good. Played 4 years in college, played 4 years after college. In the words of Stanford University professor and world-renowned researcher Carol Dweck, I was living a growth mindset. Dr. Dweck's research is all about how we have to be willing to try new things, risk failure, start again with lessons learned in order to grow. I love the analogy of flexing a muscle, literally or figuratively. As an athlete, you work hard to develop your muscles, gain strength to advance in your sport. Growth mindset is just another type of muscle flexing. Trying a new thing or exploring that far-fetched idea or leaning into a passion. Many of the greatest joys of my life have come as a result of challenging my study-as-I-go mentality. As an adult, I have never been afraid to take an exciting new job and move across the country in a matter of weeks. I have actually done this on more than a few occasions. These jobs have helped me advance my career and find opportunities to work with some wonderful independent schools, helping them advance their mission through fundraising. I have lived in some of the greatest cities and explored some wonderful parts of the country I never thought I would know. As I think about the notion of change, however it comes about, I ponder what advice I would give my 18-year-old self graduating from high school. It would have to be, do not be afraid of things that are hard. In doing hard things, you will develop the confidence to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You will find success as well as failure in doing so, but you will nurture an inner confidence and resilience that will help propel you forward and bring things you want into your life. After a nearly 40-year career in professional fundraising and a love for independent schools that runs very deep, I changed direction as a result of one of those far-fetched ideas. Over the course of a decade, helping care for elderly family members, I learned a great deal and benefited from these very wise people who poured their knowledge and enthusiasm into me. As I was living through these experiences, I knew one day I would do something with seniors. I just always thought it would be volunteering. But COVID changed everything. I started looking at the world a little differently, and 2 years ago I took a leap of faith, left the career I loved and had been successful at for 4 decades to begin a second career. I had no skills, I had a tiny bit of knowledge, and I did not know one single person working in the industry. I was way outside my comfort zone, but I worked hard to learn about the possibilities. I followed what some call a far-fetched interest. I'm happy to report that at the 2-year mark of my new career, it is going beautifully. Don't be afraid to do hard things. Take the risk and push yourself outside your comfort zone. That is where growth happens. And know that failure often leads you into your greatest successes. Congratulations to the class of 2024. We're excited to see what your future holds.
My name is Tom Hogan, and as Beth mentioned, we are honored to have the privilege of sharing some thoughts with you guys as members of the class of 2024. Paul, thank you so much for that gracious introduction. The one other thing I would like to add, it's funny, you look back on 4 years of education and all of the changes that we've experienced as professionals throughout the course of our life. We just take it day by day. It's what we have. And that's all you guys have, is the ability to take things as they come to you and hold your head high, take ownership of it. Ultimately, my background, probably the single most important thing that I'm most proud of, in addition to my career as an educator, is being a proud father of 4 children. One of whom is here today. And that, you will live lives of purpose moving forward. But the key is really to be thoughtful and deliberate as you make those choices moving forward in your life. We are no different than any of you. 0. We sat where you sat many years ago. We're no brighter, we're a little bit older, and hopefully a little bit wiser. I guarantee you we are no smarter than any one of you. But we have a bit of experience. And it's funny because I know when I graduated, I was a pretty good student, but I didn't put a whole lot of elbow grease into what I was doing. I was probably a better athlete, played 3 sports, but I was also reluctantly kind of dragged into being, we had to do everything. Smaller schools, in order to have lots of programs, we really had to do everything here. So I saw myself as more of an athlete and a competent student. But additionally, I was in the musical for 4 years. I was active in student government. I was involved in chorus. And those things I never would have chosen to do. But as Kate mentioned, that sense of community is what compelled all of us to do that. And the sense of community that existed when we were here, and the sense of community, Kate, that you described amongst your classmates, you will always have that. No one will ever be able to take that away from any of you. You will carry that with you in your hearts. As graduates of Elgin Academy, in essence, we are all the same. Elgin Academy has given us the foundation for the rest of our lives. It truly was the things we learned here that gave us the foundation to achieve what we'd like to think are some successes throughout the course of our lives. This is the first time I've been back to campus in 20 years. The last time I was here, I brought my daughters here because they had never seen this campus before. But this place holds such a special place in our hearts. And I apologize, I'm not scanning the room. But really, this is about them today. So, but it was such a special place for us that I wanted my daughters to have just a sense of what this campus was all about. And as we walked the campus, we shared ridiculous stories about when we were your age, and as we navigated, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and the wonderful memories and the challenging memories as we were growing up. But it was such an important part of our lives because we were not only students here for 4 years, we lived here for 10. So I know you guys have lived here. Some of you started, one of the things that was kind of nice is we had the good fortune of speaking with Mr. Satt, probably 6 weeks ago, because we wanted to get a sense of who you were as a class, what your character was all about. And the one thing I need to share with you is that he couldn't have spoken more highly about you. Your diversity of talents. You have aspiring doctors, attorneys, engineers. You're a talented group of young men and women. One of the things that he shared that I think is really a hallmark of who you guys are is you guys were the COVID class, right? You came in the fall of 2020 having to navigate an obstacle that none of us had any control over. It was about safety, it was scary, and when we're scared, it's hard to learn. But you figured out how to overcome that. And obviously the leadership of the school did as well, and the faculty did. Some schools did it well, and I would count EA in that category. And some schools really struggled with it. But Mr. Sepp talked about how in spite of those challenges that you faced over the course of your 4 years, the class of 2024 is really defined by its resiliency and its perseverance. As Kate mentioned, your enrollment went up and it went down. And as it went up, you got excited, right? And as it went down, it was more of a challenge. But then you made the most of it, right? You took ownership. You focused on those things in your lives that you actually have control over. All too often, all of us dump our energy into black holes that we can't control. I challenge all of you guys moving forward to focus on that which you can control.
Student Council President, I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank our speakers, Beth Hogan Corley and Thomas Hogan, for their words of advice, support, and encouragement. In addition, we are so thankful for your willingness to speak to us today. There was much to learn from what you said, and we appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. On behalf of my classmates, I would like to thank you for spending our commencement day with us and for sharing your wisdom. Please accept this Elgin Academy gift as an enduring expression of our appreciation to you.
At this time, we are going to present an award that is not listed in the program. I invite former head of school Seth Hanford to the podium to make this presentation.
I don't know if you guys probably didn't watch cartoons when you were kids, but in cartoons, you know, there's often like a thought bubble, you know, above the character's head, and so looking at this crowd, the clear thought bubble is, I thought I was done with that guy, is the clear thought bubble. Well, let me tell you, that guy thought he was done with you, until very recently, and I'm honored to be here today. At times, the Academy presents the Elgin Academy Medal to a community member who has given extraordinary service to the school in furtherance of its mission. And the rarity of this act is noteworthy because it's truly a special occasion when it is presented. Today is about the class of 2024, and there have been a lot smarter things said than those that I'm going to say. I have to take the opportunity to just tell you that even from a distance, your leadership, as has been talked about and described so beautifully in a really hard year, has been so impressive. I wanted you to know that while I haven't been here every day to see it, I've watched and have appreciated your passion and your dedication to our school, its traditions, and want to take this opportunity to thank you for ensuring this year, when you could have acted very differently, celebrated this school, celebrated what it's meant to you, and by extension, what it has meant to so many others. You've learned lessons that will serve you well in life. Your actions this year make it clear that you have learned those lessons really, really well. The recipient of today's honor could serve as your model for that sort of other focused behavior, and I want to thank you for that and commend you for that. In this particular year, EA could present a service award for going above and beyond to so many people. Some of them seated behind me, the school's longest serving faculty member. This is in a previous life where I would have inserted a mildly inappropriate age joke. But we all know that Jim is older, and I'm not going to do that. A dedicated board chair, the best administrator with whom I've ever worked, head of school thrust into a difficult situation, all of whom dedicated themselves to ensuring that this school year was about the right thing, these students at this time. The board, the faculty, the parents, the list could be endless. It could be presenting this to a lot of different people, and yet, many of you maybe have deduced to whom the school is presenting this award by my being here. You know that even with all of the fantastic people with whom I worked for so many years, only one of them could have gotten me standing here today. It was decided to award the prestigious, this is going to be very hard, the prestigious Elgin Academy Medal to Susan Kennedy. She just gave me a signal that said I should be done, and then I might be. So I guess it goes without saying that in a world wrought with division, I may have just said the thing upon which everyone can actually agree. Few of us know Elgin Academy without Susan Kennedy. It's another chance to make an age joke. I won't, whether we know it or not. Susan Kennedy has been for 35 years or so ever present in Elgin Academy, starting as a French teacher and moving quickly into roles in which she supported the people and the school, often behind the scenes. This was a natural for her given her master's degree in French literature, because let's be honest, what else could you possibly do with a degree in French literature? I know in French literature. I mean, a couple really. I know in presenting this award, I'm doing so on behalf of so many faculty, families, students, board members, board chairs, administrators, and heads, and the weight of this seems a little daunting. How do I get this right on this really important occasion? Part of the reason this is as daunting as it is exactly the reason she deserves this recognition. I never would have written this speech without Susan in any other circumstance. If it were about anyone else, I would have asked for her help. I had been writing for no more than 2 minutes when I shouted across my living room, "Susan, what is Susan's degree really in?" And neither of my cats is named Susan, and my wife, who's also not named Susan, was out, so I received no response. So I'm not really sure she has a degree in French literature, but that's my vague memory. And I'm not going to let it stand in the way of what I thought was a funny joke. I am sure this recipient's name is Susan, but beyond that, I am certain of anything else I'm about to say, because I don't have her to fact check me. Susan Kennedy has been the backbone of Elgin Academy for the lion's share of the last 30 years. It is not a joke or understatement to say she knows everything. If you want to know school history, ask Susan. If you want to order something, ask Susan. If you need to know something about the board bylaws, ask Susan. If you want to know the recipe for the best chicken salad in the world, ask Susan. But also know she will hold something back, because your crappy version of it will never be quite as good as hers. Who irons the gowns? Susan. Who is the de facto board secretary? Susan. Who is the only person who understands the world's most archaic phone system? Susan. There is not a detail of this place that she does not know and take responsibility for. Paul is a lovely guy. He wanted me to say how annoying it actually is, right? That you sit in that office over there and so many people walk by your office wanting to know something with no intention of asking you, who is nominally in charge, but instead going across the hall to the only person who might possibly know. And that's Susan Kennedy. So, thanks, Susan, that's great. We both really appreciate that. Well, I'm glad I was able to say that for you. I wasn't going to say that. Her attention to detail alone would be enough, but that's only a small part of the story. Because Susan is so much more than the keeper of that sort of banal information. More than that, she has been the keeper of this place's mission. Why do we need this level of detail? Who cares if it is just right? Because it sets a tone. It says who we are. Why do we need to do things in a certain way? Every moment sends a message. Every detail counts. Every moment is about how we educate our students, how we treat others, the example we set, the way we are. Susan, I saw firsthand from right across the hall your care for our place. I saw the way you treat every person. I saw the way you attend to every need. I was the recipient daily, multiple times, of your desire to see this place be great. On the days when I did well, I was trying to meet your standard. On the days when I fell short, I resolved to meet your standard the next. Because I didn't have you to keep me on track this time, I did not use my time in a way where I could get quotes from others. But if I had, I know for a fact everyone who had the privilege of working closely with you would echo this sentiment. I am already anticipating the lecture I'm going to get in about 47 minutes. Today is supposed to be about the students. For once, I am going to tell you that you are interpreting something wrong, and I can see it on your face. These students and 35 some odd classes before them all had the experience they did, the experience we celebrate today in so many ways more than any other day because of you. Thank you for being the conscience of this place for decades. Thank you for taking care of its people and for inspiring, even at tremendous self-sacrifice, that it be great at every turn. We are finally doing the right thing and acknowledging that publicly, and I am honored to be the one doing it today. I am thankful for the opportunity to do it, but I am only representing, as I do it, this entire community. Decades of heads, administrators, colleagues, parents, students, board members, board chairs, vendors, and the countless people I am forgetting, and recognizing that so many people know Elgin Academy only through you. That so many people only know about independent schools through the vision you have of them, and only know what it means to work, attend school, or serve a school like this through your example. For decades, you have ensured that people who lead this school by being on this side of the microphone have everything they need to do so. Often after you made sure that was the case, you sat in the back and took the pleasure, as you're doing right now, that only a true servant takes in the result. On behalf of the board and the school, and as importantly, on behalf of everyone who has been associated with this school for a minute or for decades, or any amount of time in between, I ask you to come forward to this side of the microphone to receive this last Elgin Academy medal given for your extraordinary, dedicated, selfless service to a place that you love. Thank you on behalf of so many for what you have done for our place.
Today provides us with an opportunity to recognize a student who's been an integral part of the Elgin Academy community. Frida Eicher Klingenhagen first came to Elgin Academy from her home in Germany in January 2020. Her goal was to spend a semester abroad attending classes while making new friends. Unfortunately, the pandemic cut her plans short, and she was with us for only a short while. Thankfully, Frida and her family kept in contact with Katie Cruz, Elgin Academy's Director of International Studies. After completing her studies in Germany, we welcomed her back to Elgin Academy for what was going to be just this past fall semester. As the fall progressed, she excelled in her classes and on the golf course, all while rekindling old friendships and making new ones. A semester abroad turned into a full year, and then a new opportunity arose. Frida was offered an opportunity to attend Judson University and compete on their golf team next year. In order to help her on that path, Frida transitioned from being an exchange student to a full credit earning EA student. Now, having completed the 23-24 school year, Frida is in a position to earn her EA diploma in our summer program that commences soon. On August 2nd, she will be seated on the stage of graduates with her peers, ready to receive her EA diploma. However, we did not want to let today pass without recognizing Frida and expressing our appreciation for having her in our school community this entire year. We know that she has made many bonds with our students, this senior class in particular, and we look forward to honoring her further in a couple of months. Frida, please come to the stage so that I can present you with a certificate in recognition of your participation in the Elgin Academy community this year. Please join me in congratulating Frida both for what she has accomplished to this point and for what is yet to come.
He's a little bit taller than I am, just like everyone else. The Mother-Daughter Award is presented to the girl graduate who best typifies the ideals and character of Elgin Academy. The recipient of this award was selected by the faculty by secret ballot, and this announcement is a surprise to them. This year's recipient has earned the following praise from her teachers. Please keep in mind that each of these statements was written by a different teacher, so she garners commendations across the board. Even more impressive than her work ethic is her sincere curiosity for the language and interest in learning. She is a respectful student and has a great ability and interest. She can contend with complex mathematical topics very well. She is getting more and more confident in her artistic ability and produces very good work. She isn't afraid to slow down and truly observe. She is a conscientious student who takes her studies seriously. She excels at self-advocacy. She has an even greater passion for excellence and being her best self. In this, she is like so many others of our outstanding seniors. What sets her apart is her incredible kindness and generosity of spirit. While other seniors have this too, she is unself-conscious and completely genuine. The rest of us have to try to be kinder and more inclusive. It seems like second nature to her. If you have yet to figure out who this year's recipient is, this final quote will give it away. She is such fun to work with as a performer. I really enjoyed how she brought her own take on the character and really made it her own, right down to choreographing her own dance. Victoria Tori Hill is an academic force. She ends her upper school career with a cumulative grade point average of 3.92. She has taken AP Prep, and honors classes in a variety of subjects, but her true passion is in the sciences. She is a member of the National Honor Society, the Latin National Honor Society, and the International Thespian Society. The faculty chose her to receive the St. John's College Book Award as a junior. Last night she received the Excellence in Science Award, the Excellence in Latin Award, the Jane Pelton Excellent in Art Award, and the Frank H. Limericker Mathematics Award. She has participated in numerous EA drama productions and was a valued member of the volleyball team. Beyond EA, Tori's true passion is dance. While she has danced outside of school for years, she has found ways to share her talents with students at EA through choreographing dances in several school plays and musicals, and by taking part in this year's dance club. Tori will attend the University of Rochester, where she will pursue a degree in the sciences and no doubt find ways to engage in the campus community, making that school a better place, just as she has done here. Congratulations, Tori, on being selected as this year's recipient of the Mother-Daughter Award. Please come to the stage to be recognized.
To the boy graduate who best typifies the ideals and character of Elgin Academy. The recipient of this award was selected by the faculty by secret ballot, and this announcement will be a surprise to them. Throughout this year, the student's teachers shared the following sentiments about him. He is a diligent and responsible student. He does not complain about his work and always strives to do his best. This attitude is what leads to success in college. His presence in class is immensely positive and forceful. He is able to brush back distractions and silliness with a mature and dynamic attitude. He has great confidence and positivity, encouraging and leading in class. He asks questions when he has them, goes forward with his idea even when it turns out to be incorrect, and gives his infectious energy to the space he is in. Not having an ego about his learning, he makes sure he knows things as well as he can in the learning process, and was a top achiever in our class. He was the engine that kept Period 1 English moving. It was a quiet class, but his enthusiasm and focus really propelled us forward. Without him, the class would have been much quieter, and not in a good way. He has also been a great presence beyond the classroom, especially with his work in student council. Ryan Zantz is a multi-talented young man. He is an AP scholar who has succeeded in challenging classes. He is a member of the National Honor Society and the Spanish National Honor Society. Last night, he received the Sons of the American Revolution Award as voted on by the full faculty, and the Old Maid Award is voted on by his peers in Student Council and Athletic Council. He also received the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Scholarship, which is extremely fitting for one who is the definition of a student athlete. All of the quotes that I read from Ryan's teachers a few moments ago also describe his demeanor and efforts on the baseball diamond and basketball court. He pushes himself and those around him to be better. He plays athletics with absolute joy, which is exactly as it should be. We are excited that Ryan will continue to be a student athlete at the college level. He will attend Ohio Wesleyan University, where he will pursue a degree in politics and government while playing for the Division III baseball team. I am sure that he will make positive contributions to that campus community just as he has done here. Congratulations, Ryan, on being selected as this year's recipient of the Moore Pelton Award. Please come to the stage and be recognized. For us to celebrate with the class of 2024 the completion of their Elgin Academy experience. In a moment, I will signal for the first section of the Elgin Academy class of 2024 to rise in preparation for the conferring of the diplomas. When they rise and are called, we will actually have them cross in front of the podium. We will present their diplomas there, so it will make for a better photo opportunity. First, I am pleased to call forward Mr. Jim Kidston, the senior member of the distinguished Elgin Academy faculty. Mr. Kidston is completing his 44th year teaching on this campus.
Chair Seneca, on behalf of Mr. Krasinski, the administration, and my teaching colleagues, it is a genuine pleasure and an honor to inform you that these candidates for graduation have completed the prescribed course of study as approved by the faculty and are thereby entitled to receive an Elgin Academy diploma. We, their teachers, proudly recommend them to you for the conferring of the diplomas and assure you that they are ready to use the knowledge that they have gained here in order to lead their lives with confidence and compassion.
I will now ask the first row of graduates to please rise. Priyanka Bogaraju. Rahul Mahesh Yadav. Victoria Lee Hill. Talia Jean Moore. Cameron J. Horton. Kate Araceli Kincaid. Angelo Joseph Noelli. Will the first row be seated and the second row please rise. Isha Adipati. Lily Perez Gonzalez. Caden A. Sauer. Tayton Jeffrey Wilder. Ryan Alex Zotz. I'll ask that the first row please rise again so we can recognize as a whole the class of 2024.
So before I begin, a couple of random thoughts. The first is, I assume you all heard how hard it was raining. Let me just say how happy that made me, because I know I never would have heard the end of it if there had been no rain. Secondly, I was watching Ryan's brother when Ryan got the award, and let me just say I could see it all over his face. His little brother, he's an EA graduate. I'm gonna have to live with my little brother. It was just emanating from him. I don't blame him. The third random thought is that Seth clearly needed Susan to write the script because if he had talked to Susan, she would have told him that I'm not only not annoyed, but I'm thrilled when no one comes into my office to ask me questions that I wouldn't have had the faintest idea what the answer was anyway. So I just want to start by saying that I don't really have much left to say because of what the beautiful speeches were this morning. They practically said it all. However, as Seth also demonstrated, heads of school never pass up a microphone. So I do want to add one particular thing, which I think the seniors already know. And again, just to re-emphasize the point that this year could never have been what it was on the positive side without who they are as people, as students, and just an incredible class who did so much for the legacy of this storied institution. There are so many things that bind the generations together. So I did want to point out that I also know that I've been here a very short time, shorter than most of you, but I think I figured out what really keeps this community together, that all generations of EA students, graduates, teachers, parents, they all know, and they all have two, unfortunately, left unsaid questions from this morning. The questions are just when and what's for lunch. So Doug, let's take it away.
I would now like to invite everyone to stand and sing the Elgin Academy hymn with us, the words of music during your program.
Sons and daughters Academy will always be the place that we call home. We'll bear your mark every and what, no matter where we roam. As Elgin sons and daughters spread your light through word and deed, so all may see the strength of the long-lived Academy.
As our commencement exercises come to a close this morning, congratulations once again to the class of 2024 and their families on behalf of Elgin Academy faculty, staff, administration, and trustees. We ask that you remain seated during the recessional, during which the class of 2024 will lead us, the stage party will follow, and then the faculty and trustees. When we depart the gym, our graduates are going to lead us to the tent outside for a wonderful reception, so we ask that you stick around and join us for a while. Please join me one last time in recognizing the 168th graduating class. Graduates, please rise. We're about to have a photo op. You may toss your caps on the count of 3.